Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Conversations. And I have Liz Weber in the house today, and I'm so excited to have you, Liz. How are you today?
I'm great, LaDonna. I'm really happy to talk with you today.
Awesome. Liz, tell us a little bit about Liz, your business, and how do you help others?
Well, I'll start with how I help others in this way when people ask what I do is I help leaders focus on the right things at the right time to get the right impact. And that's a catchy way to outline, LaDonna, what I do primarily with my clients, who, by the way, are executives, business owners, boards of directors, individuals in management. I help them in one of three ways, and sometimes in all three ways. One of the ways that I help them is in facilitating and guiding the creation of their strategic plans, basically helping them as an ownership team, a leadership team, or a board of directors get very clear on where do they need to take their organization over the next 3, 5, 10 or more years. And we create a very concise, very clear, workable plan that lays out the roadmap for them to do that. As part of those conversations, talking about where they're going to take their organization or their company and what it's going to need to be able to do and provide in 3, 5, or 10 years, we invariably have conversations around, well, who's going to do that? Who's going to lead the company? Who's going to provide the work, the intellectual talent that you need to do that? You've got great people now, but are they the right people going forward? So we get into what are called succession and workforce planning conversations, and it's much more than filling the slot. It's really identifying how do we build a talent pipeline that is very flexible, not only now, but going forward. And it's not just at the senior level. It is deep within the organization to your newest hire to really help everybody understand what the organization does and how they fit in. And then the third thing that I do, and I spend most of my time doing this now, is leadership development. And that can be sometimes in training. That's how my company started. But more often than not now, LaDonna, I am talking one-on-one or one to a group of leaders and helping them identify what to do next. And that sounds really pretty basic, but you no doubt, and your listeners no doubt have worked with leaders, and the higher up you go in a hierarchy, the quicker you have to make decisions. And so one of the things that I talk with my executive clients, business owner clients about is they have so many things that are hitting them at once. Quite often, they just need someone who is outside their organization that is not as emotionally attached or pressured as they are and can look a bit more objectively at everything that's presented to them right now and keeping the big picture of where they want to take their company. What is the next step they need to take to not lose sight of where they want to go ultimately, but deal with the issues right in front of them? So a long answer to your question is I help leaders make decisions, and I help them focus on what they need to do to take their company where they want it to go.
That is awesome, Liz. Awesome. So tell me, what is probably your priority? If I had to ask you to narrow it down to one thing, what is probably your priority, or maybe it's your most often way that you help others? What is that one obstacle that really stands out for you?
Well, it's an interesting question because it's shifted over the years. When my company started, it was training. It was just providing a lot of basic skills to a broad base of their management team. And then for a number of years, what really drove my business was the strategic planning and creating that. But now where I am with my career, the stage of life, and the network and the clientele I have, what drives it really right now is the advisory work, the one-to-one or the one-to-group, because that's where I can help my clients identify what is either a service line of mine that could help them next, or what do they need from somebody else that I or the colleagues that I could refer them to can't help them with. And again, it's helping them make decisions on what do they need to do next, and then most importantly, how to find the right companies or individual or team to work well with them in getting those things done.
I love how you emphasize on individuals individual, but also teamwork. And sometimes that teamwork can be a lot more difficult than the one person that you may be working with, because everyone has a little bit different personality, sometimes even a big difference in personality. So how do you handle those different personalities when you're working and trying to help others with their teamwork?
I like how you asked that question, because what I'll say first is, before I take on a client to work with them in an advisory capacity, we have conversations ahead of time. And I am also incredibly fortunate that I have a very strong referral network, in that most of the clients I have right now, off the top of my head, I would say easily 90% of my clients right now are either long-term clients that I have retained, or were clients that were referred to me by another client or a former client. And I say that because that means they know my personality and they know my style. Advising someone it's very similar to a therapist in many ways. You have to like the personalities, and your personalities have to mesh. And the reason I do a free initial meet and greet and consult is I need them to be comfortable with me, obviously, but I also need to be comfortable with them. And it is not uncommon for me, when I am meeting with a prospective new client, if I have any inkling that this might not be a good fit, I am always very clear in saying something such as, LaDonna, if we choose to work together, then this is the path I'm going to recommend that we take. And I say, if we choose to work together, because I will choose you as well. It's not just either you're going to choose to hire me or not, because again, I need that relationship to be comfortable. I say all that because in working with my clients, as you alluded to when you asked this question, majority of my conversations with my clients, again, because I'm dealing with the CEO or the business owner or an executive, and a lot of the individuals don't have peers within the company. They don't have other people they can go to discuss some of these things. So a lot of my client conversations are around personnel issues, and it's quite often it's a frustration that the CEO has with the CFO, or with his general counsel, or with her CHRO, or whatever it might be. And so they need to have someone in me who, number one, they can trust, who obviously maintain their confidentialities, but who has a similar leadership philosophy. And I'm simply helping them think through and take the noise and the clutter out of what's currently clouding their ability to make a clear decision. And so by having that kind of relationship with them, I try to carry that type of personality and relationship over to their team as well.
Very good. I'm glad that you brought that up. If people choose us to work with us, but we also get to choose them. And I think that's really important to let our audience know, because they may be in a situation sometimes as well where we stand. We don't always have to pick the client either. Because, I've had a couple of clients that I've had to say, I don't think this is a good fit for me and you. Or sometimes I've had to say, like you said, if, that big word, if we choose to work together, this is how the outline will look, because you have to fit like a puzzle, or you're missing the pieces.
Right.
Or you have to fit together, or you're going to be missing a puzzle piece. And when you do that, it's just not a good vibe all the way around. And to have that long, like you said, long-term relationships, you need to be able to fit.
And it's that, as well as I want to ensure that when I make a suggestion of an action that I believe would be helpful in helping them achieve what they want to achieve, obviously clients don't take every one of my recommendations, but if they're not willing to take some of the most basic recommendations, it's not going to bode well for them in accomplishing their outcome, but it's also it's not fruitful. Then why are they paying to work with me if they're not going to take my recommendations? And I mean that because a couple years ago, a man reached out, had been referred to me, and a lovely person, but was having some severe issues with a good number of his employees, and he was looking to exit the company and elevate one of them to take over the business. And it wasn't going to be a good fit anywhere around the scenario as he described it. And I just didn't believe that he would have the comfort level in having what I call necessary conversations with his team, but also exiting a couple of them sooner rather than later. And so what I recommended to him was I write an article every month. And so I said, after our call, I'm going to send you a link to just 3 of the articles that I've written that I think are relevant to your scenario. And you will see in these articles the types of recommendations that I anticipate are going to be similar to what is going to be needed in your scenario here. If you're comfortable with these ideas, then circle back to me and we'll talk further about possibly working together. And I didn't hear from him again. It was a good relief in that he wasn't going to be, faking himself out that this was going to be something he was going to do if he was just not going to be comfortable with some of those things.
Yes, I love that. Now, Liz, you are also an author, correct?
Yes.
So what is your favorite book that you've written that you want to tell us about today?
I guess it's like a parent. You don't have a favorite. It's kind of what is spurring the moment. And actually, just this morning, I'll just share one of the books. So this is a book, my Something Needs to Change Around Here, the 5 Stages to Leveraging Your Leadership. This particular book has been around for a number of years, but it's one of those books, LaDonna, that has a fan following and has, in many organizations, created its own little vocabulary in that people will refer to necessary conversations or stage 2 leadership or stage 5 leadership. And the model resonates because it's easy. And I was just actually preparing for another client that has asked for me to come back and do a repeat presentation on this particular book and this particular model of leadership. So I would say at this moment in time, that book is my favorite.
That's awesome. And I love how you said children, because our books are like our children sometimes when it comes to picking and choosing, because it's not always about the favorite. It's about who needs the attention now, or where is my attention at right now? How does it fit for me right now? Because something that fit for you 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even last week, is not where you're at today, because you're dealing with a different client or a different mindset. Something has came up where you really want to focus on one article or one paragraph, one book. And sometimes that's what helps me grow. And I believe others as well. We grow as we start pondering on what we've written and where we're at today. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Before we go, Liz, is there one other thing that you would like to leave the audience with today?
Well, I think I'll kind of segue from what you just said, is that, as leaders, we're always kind of looking ourselves as to what do we need today, either for ourselves and our own businesses, or what do we need that could help a client of ours. And so, when I write a book, I use advice that Sam Horn shared with me many, many years ago. Every one of my books, I have visualized a particular person, typically one of my clients or someone in their management team, and I write that book for them and what would help them at that particular point in time. And so I say that because I follow the same kind of philosophy when I write an article. I've been writing a monthly article for almost 32 years. And so my blog is, really well populated with articles on leadership, on strategic planning, on succession planning, on change. And so if any of your listeners are looking for something to help them grow as a leader, or are looking for some insights on how they can do strategic planning for themselves or with a client or whatever it is, they're welcome to go to my blog and do the search bar and ask some questions and hopefully find some resources that can help them or that can help them help a client. So I'll leave that with them.
Awesome. Now, where do we find your blog at, Liz?
On my website, which is wbssamllc.com/blog.
Awesome. And I assure you, you will find lots of other great things on the website to look at, go through, and learn from. With that said, I want to tell everyone to have a rest of your day as beautiful as it started. And thank you, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye now.